everyone, welcome back to another video. If you're new, a very warm welcome. My name is Becs. I'm now a fourth year non-traditional medical student studying in the UK, and if you're returning, then it's really nice to have you back, and thank you for clicking on this video. I've just received an email from somebody in Australia. It was an email from somebody that is 38 years old, wanting to start medical school, but who is currently paralyzed by fear. I wanted to hopefully give you some tips to help you to start your journey and to keep going when people around you are doubting you, and perhaps you're having thoughts that are preventing you also from starting on this journey. So number one, the first thing that I really need you to understand, and I'm sure that you know this already, but as soon as we're about to make a decision that is potentially life-changing, and we try to make that decision from a place of logic, with our logical minds, with our brains, our brain will automatically go into ego mode, fear mode, survival mode, flight and fight response will kick in, and your thoughts will start to give you all of the reasons why you will fail and why you should not take action. This is completely normal. The difference between people who move forward anyway and the people who stay put and don't take action is simply down to knowing how to ignore those negative thoughts. So many years ago, again back in 2016, when I started to tell people, even when I started to kind of tell myself that I was gonna start to do GCSEs and do the access course, everything in my brain was telling me that it was a long shot and the chances of somebody like me being successful were very limited. I heard, the voices of my mum again, saying that I was stupid and that I would never achieve anything in life. And the only thing that I could do was just ignore everything. I just ignored those thoughts, and I thought, what would it feel like if I ignored those thoughts and just moved forward anyway? Understanding that 100% of the population will have the same thoughts and the same kind of process, the same blockages in their mind that are all about, okay, so let me think about a plan A. Oh no, but what if that fails? I'm gonna think about a plan B now, just in case. And the course is very competitive, so what are the chances? And people like me don't get into medicine, and what about money? And can I really do this? And the more we start writing pros and cons and trying to make these decisions with our logical mind, the more your brain will come up with reasons as to why you shouldn't and you can't move forward on this journey. Try it with anything, not just medical school, but I guarantee your brain will find an excuse. Those thoughts that you're having in those moments, just please understand it's a survival mechanism. Your brain is just designed to keep you safe. So without going into all the nitty-gritty of how the brain works, you have a part of the brain which is called the amygdala. This is responsible for emotions and memories. So if you had an experience in the past, for example, and you've had a negative experience, let's put this into context. For example, you're 15 or 16 years old and you go and sit your maths GCSE, and I'm sure that many of you, just like me, can relate to this. You go and sit your maths GCSE and then you fail this exam miserably. You come out with an E and you automatically think that you're rubbish at maths. A few years down the line, you get 25, let's say, and you want to sit your maths GCSE. But the thought of sitting a GCSE in maths, because you've already had the experience of failing that subject, will give you the exact same feelings in the body and also in your mind, because you've already lived that experience. So the brain basically looks for, okay, I recognize this pattern, or I recognize what happened before. And what happens is you automatically start to remember and reconnect with those feelings that you had when you went through the same experience all those years ago. This could apply for relationships as well. So you have a relationship, a romantic relationship with somebody, they break your heart. Anybody that looks the same or sounds the same is going to make you feel the same way. So your brain is very clever. So what we must do is almost try to dampen down those feelings in the amygdala and bring it back to the prefrontal cortex. And how do we do that? Mel Robbins has got a really good book, and it's called the 5-second rule. So in any given moment, when you're about to make a decision, what you want to do is take the decision-making process away from the amygdala and bring it back to the prefrontal cortex. And what you want to do is count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you make the decision. I would highly recommend the book. I will link it down below. Buy it on Amazon. It really does change the way you make decisions. But just understand that when you're about to make a decision and when you feel tense and scared and you have all these negative thoughts, it's because you're about to do something that is going to take you outside of your comfort zone, and it's completely normal. What dictates whether you move forward or whether you stay exactly where you are is whether or not you pay attention to those thoughts. So my number one tip is ignore any negative thoughts and move forward anyway. The second big tip that I would like to share with you is please ignore anybody that is telling you that you can't do something. And it always brings a smile to my face when people say to me, but you can't do that. And I'm thinking, but how do you know? I haven't even tried. I don't even know if I can do this. So how do you know what I'm capable of or not? And it always makes me think, you have no idea what I am capable of. And the interesting thing is, if you really sit down and think about it, we as human beings have no idea what we're capable of ourselves until we actually try. So how can somebody that you're asking for advice from, whether that be an advisor at university or perhaps a doctor that you're shadowing, when they say to you something like, you know, the chances are very slim, I would probably look to do something else. And they say to you, you know, you're not the typical age for a medical student, or oh, medical students normally start when they're about 18 or 19, or oh, your background is not the same as most students. I want you just to think in that moment, I'm listening to what you're saying and I'm taking it on board. However, I'm not going to let anything that you say right now deter me from moving forward on this journey. They don't know what gifts you're born with. They don't know what your life purpose is. Only you know that. And if you're in your head, you won't connect with that part of yourself. The only way to know what your life purpose is and what your calling is to connect with your intuition. Remember having the same experience years ago where I was calling up different colleges because I didn't know how to sit A-levels as a mature student. And the number of teachers that were telling me that their own students who were getting the best grades at A-level, even they were not getting into med school. So, you know, what chance would I have? And I would just hang up. And it was probably a little bit brutal, but I didn't even have, or I didn't even want to waste my energy on saying, you know, this is not helping me. I really would like to speak to somebody who has a little bit of belief in me. But unfortunately, if you do not look like the normal medical student, and if you're not a similar age, and if you don't have a similar background, then people, because you don't fit into that box, will automatically assume that you won't get in. And it's just not the case. So if you are having a conversation with somebody and they are telling you it's very unlikely that you will get in, you have two choices. A, you can waste energy on trying to convince them that you will get in. Or two, you can say, thank you, let's stop the conversation here because I'd like to keep my energy and my thoughts as positive as possible, but thank you for your feedback, and just move on. Don't waste any energy trying to convince other people what you're capable of. You don't even know what you're capable of in this lifetime because you haven't tried yet. The third thing is, and this is something that is difficult for most people because we live in such a fast-paced world where we make these lists like pros and cons and plan A and plan B, and we think everything through and everything comes from a place of logic. I'm going to ask you to do something that is perhaps new to you, especially if you're very sciencey and very logical. When we are about to make a decision that is potentially life-changing, when we are in this flight or fight mode and we feel paralyzed, we cannot connect with our intuition. You can't. It's disconnected. And all of the best answers and all of the best guidance live within your intuition. Think of it like a GPS system. You have your team of, you can call this whatever you like. You can think about it like a higher power. You can think about spirit guides. You can think about angels. You can think about just an energy or God, whatever you want to believe in. It doesn't really matter. Think about it this way. As soon as you connect to your heart and your intuition, you will feel calm. You will be able to know what to do for your highest good. When you are in your logical mind and you are panicking and thinking, what should I do? Should I apply to this university? Should I move? Will I be able to afford it? You will not be making good decisions from this place because you are in fear mode. So decisions that we make from the logical mind and decisions that we make from the heart, the same question will give you two different responses. So if you are in a position right now where you're looking to make a decision about your future, but you are in fear mode, and you know when you're in fear mode, when your brain is running a million miles an hour, when you just can't sit still, you're running all over the place, trying to ask many people for advice, you're panicking, you're just on edge. I think that's the best way of putting it. You're on edge. You're afraid. You're thinking about 5 years ahead. What if, blah, blah, blah. Do not make decisions about anything, really, whether that be medical school or something else. When you are in that mindset, you need to calm your energy down, disconnect, which is not easy. I'm not saying this is easy. Please trust me. This is a battle for me every single day because there's so much stuff going on in our day-to-day lives. So disconnect from your mind and find a way to calm your energy down and connect with your heart. And I'm going to give you a really easy exercise and something that works for me. Think about the energy from your heart and intuition as being extremely grounded, calm, at peace. There's very little fear, and it allows you to connect with your inner knowing, your higher self, what you are supposed to be doing. And it's almost, like I said before, like a GPS system. So one way that I do this is by connecting with my inner child. Try this exercise today. Very basic, it just takes 5 minutes. I'd like for you to find some photographs of you when you were a baby or a child. So this is this is me. Do you recognize the chunky legs? As a baby. I always like my naps, playing on the beach. Ooh. My brother, me here. I'd like for you to find the photo, turn everything off in terms of radio, TV, and find a quiet space in your house if possible. If not, go out in nature. I'd like for you to just sit with your inner child. And immediately for me, it brings me back into an energy of love. And I have a conversation with her. If this little girl said to you, I really, really want to be a doctor because I want to care for people and give them love and give them compassion and maybe some advice that will make their lives better, would you say to this little kid, you're not smart enough? The odds are pretty much against you. There's very little chance that you will be able to be a doctor. No. What would you say to that little girl or little boy inside of you when they look at you with these big, loving eyes and they say, I really want to do this? It doesn't have to be medicine, but what would you say? And have this conversation with yourself. And immediately what happens is it brings you back into this energy of unconditional love for yourself. And once you get into this peaceful energy of love, the answers that you come up with change. So try that exercise. Just see if you can get kind of a shift in energy. There's also a meditation on my channel. I think it's called Inner Child Meditation. It's only about 10-15 minutes, and it's all about having a conversation and reconnecting with your inner child whilst in meditation. So if you're struggling to do this when you're fully alert, try to do it in a meditation. And I guarantee the energy will go from, this fast-paced, fearful energy to having this conversation from a loving place and saying, actually, if you want to be a doctor and if you feel like you want to go back to school, then you can. And adulting this little girl or little boy and saying, we'll do it together. Some people might think this is a really kind of airy-fairy exercise. People who are very, very logical and struggle to connect with their feelings and their intuition, this exercise may not resonate, and that's okay. If it does resonate, give it a go and let me know how it worked, if it worked, and maybe have a think about what were the answers that I was getting before when I was thinking purely from a place of logic, and what are the answers now that I've managed to kind of reconnect with my intuition and with my heart. And it's just all about connecting with that loving energy that is all around us, and from that place you start to see opportunities rather than obstacles. And then from that place you start to take action, and then you just will see that your life will change for the better, and then in turn you'll be changing other people's lives as well.